Hey y'all, figured I'd give a little overview of the swap here. It's been about a month. So I had an engine light right after the swap, and I just moved these plugs around and secured them better. I had the wires still hanging at that time, but now that I pushed everything tight and secured it, the engine light went away. So no more engine light, and I got zip ties everywhere. You know, I put this thing together kind of with junkyard parts basically, but the B20 was out of a B20 B4 out of a CRV, 2000 CRV, and all the clutch parts, the pedal assembly, the hard line I ran in the back. You know, the transmission, the manual transmission and all was from another donor, Integra, that was a junkyard find basically. So got the manual swap from a junkyard find. The CRV gave me the engine with a junkyard find kind of thing. You know, swapped over the distributor, the intake manifold, all that stuff. I originally had the radiator from the Integra. This one was busted when I had gotten it, but the other one looked okay. When I put it on, it was seeping from this top edge of the radiator. So I was losing my antifreeze from that top edge of the radiator. It was no good. I guess the seal in there was bad, so I ended up putting the radiator from the CRV. I was thinking it would be the same fit up, but it's not. So as you could see, the posts don't match up where the mounting holes are. So I've got, you know, the brackets and all are set aside. I've got a new radiator in the house. I just haven't changed it yet because this one's working. So everything else hooks up the same way. You know, your top and bottom hoses and whatnot. I just have it zip tied in place, basically top and bottom, resting on the rubber grommets down there, and it works. So I haven't been in a hurry to change it again yet, but I changed it out to this one when I found out the other one was leaking. So, but that's doing good, and I got no power steering or air conditioning in it. I was planning on doing a turbo and everything on it. I've got, you know, the whole turbo set up for it. You know, the manifold, the downpipe, the turbo itself, the intercooler piping, the intercooler itself. I've got an ECU that's programmed for, you know, being without the tune yet, but should get it started and they'd be able to tune it from there. Basically, the little starter program they put on it. You know, I've got everything with that. I just didn't put it on here because this motor's got a few miles on it, and it runs good and all. You know, like I said, I've been using it for a month. Everything's working good, getting me back and forth to work and whatnot, so I'm just using it as my daily right now for grocery getting and getting to work, so that I'm not putting so much wear and tear on my other toys here. So you know, letting them take a rest while I'm using this one for the daily. But I've got some other wheels for it. Whether I put the wheels on that or I put them on that, I don't know yet what I'm going to do. Technically, they'll fit on this with the little spacer for the center bore. They're a little wider than those red ones. I may end up putting them on this and put the red ones on something else. I don't know yet. I kind of like everything how it's red and black on that though, so we'll see. But basically just wanted to kind of update, everything's doing good with the engine swap. My the clutch pedal safety switch, it was working good for a couple weeks, I guess, and it went out. The switch stopped working, so it wouldn't start for me one day. Just like there was no power, but there was power. So I got in there and I just cut, where I had spliced in that safety switch from the auto swap. Did the auto swap. This was an automatic. I still got wires hanging here. I need to tuck those away now. But put the manual swap in here and the pedal and all, and you wire in from where the automatic shifter was. There's a couple wires you got to kind of tie into for your safety switch. And everything was working good, like I said, for a couple weeks, but then that switch went bad, so I just cut it and tied them together so to bypass that switch. And it starts and runs now. It just doesn't have the safety switch, so you got to make sure you got your foot on the clutch or in neutral. But that and these tires, they were on the manual swap donor car, so I got the wheels out of it and all. They look pretty decent, good looking wheels. I think this tire I probably ran over something, because this tire, I just put some air in the tire a minute ago. All the other ones are holding good. I had to adjust the pressure because they were all over the place, but put them all to about 35, and this one here was at like 15, so I'm assuming I ran over something, but I'll check it again in a day or two and see what it's doing and try to find whatever it is that's in it and fix it. But basically that's where we're at. I've still got some of the interior pieces not hooked back up and whatever. They're just in the back seat, so I figure for the time being, if anything goes wrong, it's easier to work on if I don't have to take a bunch of stuff apart. But down the road, I'm thinking I want to use that turbo setup I've got, so whether I pull this back out and build it, or I've got a B18 over here that I need to get machine work done to. The head and the block there are not perfectly flat, so need to get the machine work done for that, and figure if I want to bore one or the other of these motors over and sleeve it, and then I don't have to be limited to like 6 pounds or less, and hope I don't blow it up on this B20. But I figured I'd just use it for everything it's got for a daily for now, until I decide to go one of those routes and use that turbo setup. But basically, other than that, it's whether I put whatever wheels on it or just lower it some. And got the cutout already for the intercooler, the lights and whatnot that I'm using, and it's basically ready for whatever, just when I want to invest a little more into it and some more time and whatnot. For now, I just figured I'd use it, so. That's where we're at. I had to make the exhaust for it. So got that all in there and where it needs to be and fit up. But the O2 sensor, when I welded it in originally, I just welded it in straight up, and it doesn't fit that way because it hits the steering rack assembly. So I had to pull it back out and then welded it differently, and I should have just, I didn't really, I was trying to get it done quick, and I should have got in there and really looked more where I wanted it, because I've got it more facing down at an angle now, and I don't like how low the sensor sits. So if I were to lower the car, I'd have to change that again anyway. But for now, I mean, it works. It's not hitting nothing at the factory height. It's just when I do make any change to the height, I'll have to change that sensor position too. Put it like over sideways instead of angled down like I did. But that and the muffler, when I welded up the bolt flange that goes to the rest of the exhaust for the muffler area, I welded the muffler straight with the flange, and it's not straight with the flange, so my muffler's got a little tilt to it. It's on there good and everything, and I've got the hanger on there, so it's not going anywhere. But if you're behind me, it looks kind of funny because it's at an angle. But it's just because I welded it straight with the flange, and it needed to be welded at a different angle than the flange to be flat looking outside the car. But it's there, it works. But another thing on the exhaust that I would change when I get to doing more to it. But it's all functional and does the job for getting me around. Saving wear and tear on these until I figure out what I want to do with it. But that's about it, I guess. I just figured I'd give you an update, you know, a month or so later. So the swap's good and everything shifts good and smooth. I put the stage 4 unsprung 6-puck clutch. Got it off eBay. It's not an ACT. I want to say it's like an ATC, like, you know, where it's close to that name. Just a cheaper version, cheaper clutch. But I got the stage 4. All the research I did on it said the stage 4 was decent, unsprung, so you didn't have to worry about the springs coming out. So thinking I was going to turbo it, I did all that and put it in there. And, you know, then I was worried, well, if I didn't turbo it, is it going to be too much clutch for what's there? So, but it seems to be relatively, you know, easy on the foot and everything. As far as pushing it, it's not bad. It's good. The clutch and the pressure plate went in for that kit, and it's not bad to push on. It's like a factory clutch, basically. Just when you let off of it to engage what gear you're in, right at the end of the pedal, you know, it's basically either on or off. It doesn't really have the playroom there, being unsprung. So it's, you know, if you were in heavy traffic all the time, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're just cruising on roads and whatever, getting up to speed and all, it ain't bad. So just that kind of thing. But that's in there. That's doing good. You know, I hadn't been dogging on it, being factory like it is. Just breaking in the clutch and all, so driving it normal. No issues with the clutch or the transmission or anything. Everything seems to be good. So those clutches, apparently they're alright, you know. Seems to be doing good. So a month with it, I've got no complaints. But I've got, you know, that Torque Solutions auto to manual swap mount, and that seems to be doing good. No issues there. The rest of them are just factory mounts that are in good shape and all. So that's it. I think that's about everything. So just figured I'd update. let y'all know how it's going and what's what and what next projects may be. And this one here, we got the D15 out of it, covered up, transmissions and pieces. That's how I got it with the transmission. That's why it's not in there anymore. So the motor was just in there. I just took that out. My plan here is to put this F22 into the CRX. So everything I see on that says it's about like an H22 swap into it. It's, I guess, a little more of a process than your standard B swap, but it don't look too bad from what I'm seeing. So that's the plan. Put this in there and hopefully it's in the condition I was told it was in. But you know, that's what I'm thinking that we'll put in here. So we'll do that at some point. I got the rear differential stuff and got the rear diff welded up, put together. And the first one there that you see on the ground, that one I got from a guy with other parts for the diff, and I was thinking it was a good one, so I was going to use that one. I put that one together with everything first, and when I got it all together and mounted it up in the car and then filled it up with fluid, come to find out there's a hairline crack in the middle of the bottom on that one that you can't see, but it seeps the oil from it. So that was frustrating. So I pulled it back out, took that off, and cleaned everything up again. And the other back housing that I had was good. I just had to get a stud removed out of it because there was a stud in it, so I had to fight with that. Got that out finally and cleaned it up, so that one's not leaking. But got it up in there. So I've got that differential in there and put new fill and drain plugs on it and all, and changed the gaskets and all on the axle rings and things like that. So axle seals, that's the word I was looking for. I was having a brain fart there, couldn't think of what I was trying to say. The axle seals there, changed those out, so seems to be good and holding fluid. Everything's good on that one, so it's welded and back together. So now the Miata's got a welded diff and everything seems to be good. I want to do a transmission fluid, the manual transmission fluid change on it. So that'll be something I'll do probably by next weekend, I'm thinking. And then I'll be up and using this. So that's where we're at. But just getting this one drift ready basically. That one, and then the srt4 there, I use that one sometimes. It's doing good, running good, tuned on 15 pounds of boost, new fuel pump and regulator, strainer filter and all, so it's doing good. No issues there. I have no complaints about this car. I got it and had to do some tuning to it and put the wheels I wanted on it, and you know, went over some faded paint and stuff and did a little different look to it. But as far as it running and doing good and the way I got it, the tune that was on it, I'm surprised it was still running when I got it. But since then I've had no issues. It's been doing good, so I like that little car. But yeah, that's where we're at. Y'all have a good one. Like, subscribe, comment, you know, all that stuff, whatever you got. Thank you.